Hello, Algebra 2. Alright, so we've got a new section that we're going to cover. So you guys should have already passed out this yellow sheet that you see in front of you. Now there's two different color sheets and they kind of look the same. You've got one that's kind of a lighter yellow and one that's a little bit darker yellow. Make sure you have the lighter yellow version. And you can double check to make sure that's the right one. If you look inside, it should have the equations. Let me scroll down to the bottom here. It should have equations, these here. So 9x plus 10y and y equals 10. So you can look at that just to make sure you have the right version there. Okay. So as you're cutting them, I want you to keep in mind that, like as always, these don't always print out the best. So when you get to this side, don't follow this line. Don't follow the cutout line that I did. This side's fine. You cut there, that's fine. So you should end up with something more like this. And so cut those outside edges there. But don't cut this side right here. Before you cut that side, turn it over and cut it so that as you run your, hold on a second, let me grab a color. As you run your scissors along here, you don't cut off any lettering there or any words. Okay? And then what you're going to end up with is a nice, beautiful foldable that looks like that. And what you need to do is, again, cut here and here so it'll fold nicely. And this is a lot like the other foldables that you've had that look just like this form here. So go ahead and cut that and then just fold them towards the inside there, just like so. Alright, and then go ahead and make sure you label the top. Solving system of equations by, guess what we're doing? Substitution. Alright, substitution. So first we solved systems of equations by graphing. Now we're going to do it by substitution. Okay. So once you have it glued in there, and by the way, this is the next page right after the solving systems of equations by graphing, the notes that we just did yesterday on Wednesday. So you open it up, it should look nice and beautiful like this, and then you're kind of ready to go. And what you'll notice here is, hey, oh, look at that. I've got some trash right there. Got a little trash right there, trash right there. Watch this. I'm going to show you a little magic trick. Ready? Set. Go! Hey, look, it's gone. Where do you think it went? I don't know. Did it go in that basket? I hope it didn't, right? Because you guys are all young adults and I can trust you, right? To put it in the one that says paper only, right? Okay. Make sure those papers don't end up in the box in the middle of the table, right? Alright, awesome. Alright, so let's go down to our sheet. So here's just an example of the side that was glued down. And here's where we're going to take our notes. Alright, so let's get started. So, like in the other examples when we had two equations, we're looking for a point, an xy, looking for an xy value. Get there. Let's do a different color. We're looking for an xy value that works for both of these equations. Okay? So we're going to start off with this easy one because it's just y equals 10 and that makes life easy for us. And the first step is you're going to solve for the easy variable. So you're going to look at your two equations here and you're going to decide which one's the easiest one to solve for. Well, you know what? I think y is the easiest to solve for, because guess what? One of our equations is already set to y. So why not? Alright, so y, I'm going to highlight that red, and then I'm going to highlight the other one, well, let's say green, to distinguish the two. Okay, so we're going to start with the red, because we're going to do y equals 10. Now the steps would be more complicated with a little bit more difficult problem, but I would write the equation and figure out what's y equal to, or what's the easiest variable to figure out equal to. Okay, so I know right away, guess what? It's y equals 10. Now you're going to substitute, you're going to substitute that number into the equation. Into the other equation. So let me pick up my other color. So my other equation is, 9x plus 10y equals 10. I got that from right up here. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and substitute in that 10. Oops, sorry, not the x. Where it's equal to y. Because guess what? The y is right here. So I can just plug in that 10 because I know that y equals 10. Okay? So 10. And then set that equal to, again, 10. And just solve it. So now 9x, 10 times 10 is 100, equal to 10. And then I'm going to subtract 100 from both sides. This one goes away. I get 9x is equal to, let's see, 10 minus 100 is negative 90. And then I'm going to divide both sides by 9. That 9 goes away, becomes 1. I made a 1. And then 90 divided by 9 is 10. But don't forget, it's negative. Because a negative and a positive make a negative. So now I have, look, x and y. That's what we wanted, right? Originally, we were looking for x, y value. And there it is. Okay? So this is an easy one. And remember, just like we did in the previous equations, we can, to double check, we can plug it right back into our equation. So let's take the more complicated equation, 9x, and we're going to plug in the x. 9 times, or here, let me write the equation for you guys that don't know where this came from. So 9x, take my original equation, plus 10y, equals 10. And then I'm going to plug in these points. 9 times negative 10 is my x value. And then my y value was 10, and we knew that from the beginning. Set it equal to 10, and let's see if it's right. Well, 9 times negative 10 is negative 90, plus 10 times 10, which is 100. And then negative 90 plus 100 is positive 10. So boom, it's correct. Okay, put a big check mark because it's correct. Alright, so let's take a look at this next one here. This one, same type of steps, a little bit more involved because it's not just easy like this one over here, which is just y equals 10. So I'm going to go ahead and first, I'm just going to label them. We have to choose, remember the first step is we have to choose solve for the easy variable. So we have to decide here, what's the easiest one to solve for? Well, you know what? I think I'm gonna choose y. And why do you ask that I choose y? Because guess what? It's already solved for y. Isn't that beautiful? Because it's already set to y equals. So I don't really have to do anything. So I'm going to use this equation. So that's going to be my equation 1. And we'll call this one equation 2. Because I don't know, I feel like this one's easier. And if you want to do the other way around, and you feel like this equation is easier, that's fine too. So let's go ahead and start with the 6x plus 6. Okay. Now, here's the part where substitution comes in and is really important. This 6x plus 6 is equal to y. So what you're going to do is you're actually going to just plug in this 6x plus 6 into the other equation. So let's show you what that looks like. So I'm going to take my other equation, y equals 8x plus 10, and I'm going to rewrite it. Now this y here, I'm going to plug in that 6x plus 6. And why do you ask do I do that? Because y is equal to 6x plus 6. So I can just switch it out. I know if I know y is equal to this here, well, I can just put it here because they're equal. Now it becomes 6x plus 6 is equal to 8x. And look at that. Now I can just solve for x. So let's rearrange the terms. And I'm going to bring x over to this side. I'm going to bring the numbers over to this side. So I'm going to subtract 6x here to get rid of that. So I'll subtract 6x there as well. And then I'm going to subtract 10 from this side. That goes away. And then subtract 10 from there. So then I'm left with 6 minus 10, which is negative 4. Oops. And then 8x minus 6x is 2x. And then we just follow through, divide both sides by 2, get rid of that 2. And then we end up with x equals negative 2. Boom. Okay. Now, to find y, what's y equal to? Because remember, we're looking for an x and a y. I simply just take this x equals 2, x equals negative 2, and plug it back into the other equation. Or into one of the, actually it doesn't matter which equation. I'm going to go ahead and plug it into the 6x plus 6. Okay. So 6, y equals 6 times negative 2 plus 6. And I got the negative 2 from here when I just solved for x. And so now just do the math. And y equals 6 times negative 2, negative 12 plus 6. And then negative 12 plus 6 is negative 6. And there is my y value. And so, again, double check our work. I'm going to write the 6x plus 6 down here. I'm going to plug in these two values. Negative 6 equal to 6 times negative 2 plus 6. And then just do the math. 6 times negative 2 is 12 plus 6. And then negative 6 is equal to negative 12 plus 6, which is, guess what? Negative 6. Awesome. Alright, now the second one. Y equals 8x plus 10. That was the second equation from the top over here. And plug in our values. So negative 6 equals to 8 times negative 2. That's our x value, plus 10. Do the math. 8 times negative 2, negative 16, plus 10. And then negative 16 plus 10 is, well, guess what? Negative 6. So this is all awesome and it works. Okay? So that is how we solve a system of equations by substitution. So that's our first video. Alright.